Man, these things are so hard to clean, man. What type of lotion you use on yours?
Yo.
Dune booty hole bucket!
Positive about the first movie in our review, but when I went back and watched it, I was kind of surprised that I didn't like it nearly as much upon multiple viewings. The first movie is more like a vibes movie. There's like not a lot of story or anything like that going on. I said in our review that Timothée Chalamet was like did nothing and he was like a cardboard cutout, just like, you know, a placeholder. This movie I think addresses a lot of those gripes. I think Dune Part 2 is better than Dune in just about every way. And what made it interesting and what made it good is that this movie deviates from the book quite a bit.
It does.
The book, while Paul is our main character in the book, the book stops often a lot to just explore other parts of this universe, right? And to tell us all these other characters and exactly how all these different companies work and how the Harkonnens work and all the political situation going on. This movie cuts all that shit out and focuses solely on Paul. And my issue with the book was Paul is a boring ass character, where here in the movie addresses that. It's like, should we really be following this guy? What actually does he know? Is he really the one? And the movie questions it a lot more than at least the first book did. I know they start questioning it later, but in the first book, they were all about this is Space Jesus, and you're just watching his ascension. But this one is like, you know what? That's actually a dangerous and potentially dumb thought.
Austin Butler's character, by the way, phenomenal job that he did. He was a loose cannon. Okay, he didn't care about nobody around him. He didn't even care about his family. He just cared about just being glorious. You know, glorious purpose. If you guys know what that is. So,
and I think this has got to be our third Timothée Chalamet, at least our third Timothée Chalamet movie. And I've been saying over and over, like, I don't get it. You're bringing up Austin Butler kind of explains why I don't get it. Austin Butler is good. Like, I haven't seen him miss yet, right? And because he's like doing things and he's like bringing things to the table. Timothée Chalamet is still, even in this movie, doing that blank slate thing where you can just kind of project whatever you want onto him until the very end, where he gains a personality. Of course, he's got to go through the whole Jesus thing, right? Which I found so trite in the books. But after he dies and comes back to life, you know, like Jesus, he comes back with a very different personality. So it's made him a complete dick. And I just think that's a great way to showcase this particular character. I think this was a really, really good adaptation. They weren't afraid to change things, and I loved that.
I'm gonna go into a little bit of spoilers here. His mother became
the Reverend Mother,
which is the leader, spiritual leader of the Fremen. She had to drink this water, this super blue water. This is in heighten her senses. She is talking to her baby. They get the water from baby freaking worms. Okay, they have to kill the worm in the water to be able to extract the water out of them. And I thought that was pretty ingenious of how they're connecting the world to the characters.
I swear I won't keep talking about the books, I promise. But in the books, Paul is he exists because of like some like genetic manipulation, right? Thousands and thousands of years of the Bene Gesserits trying to manipulate their genes to create this Messiah type guy. Jessica was not supposed to have Paul. Her role was to just pass the genes down, but she went against the Bene Gesserit way and had a boy. Is he actually the one, or is he just using your religious fervor against you to start a jihad, a holy war, you know? And that, I think, was very interesting and very provocative. That the movie is both like condemning religion, but also trying to give it its flowers at the same time, being like, maybe there's something here.
You know, Zendaya's character, she ain't for none of this religious stuff. She's like, I'm for the people. But Javier Bardem's character, he's like, yo, this dude is the Messiah. And
he's
then
like,
when
Space
Paul,
Jesus, please enter my prayers. Like, he's like all into it.
He's all into it. And Paul is like, no, dude, that's not me. That's not me.
So
he's
humble.
like, you're so humble. He has to be him. Spoiler alert. He tells the emperor, he says, I'm gonna take your daughter as my wife. And then right behind his Zendaya's like, but now that he got all that blue juice inside of him, he's like, I will blue juice. I will love you for as long as I breathe. But that doesn't even mean anything, really. He's just saying, I'll love you for as long as I breathe, but I'm gonna have some side hoes. Okay.
So again, it's interesting you point that out. Another interesting and welcome change from the book. I can't stress this book is like 60 years old and it's been copied in like everything. So it's hard for the book to stand out and feel special unless you change it or do something interesting. And in the book, Chani, which is Zendaya's character, she's like all for it. She's like, yeah, you marry her, we'll still be together, but you marry her just to keep face. You know, she was like all for it. But in this one, she's offended. She's like, what? And they seem to insinuate that she might lead the rebellion against him. Like everyone kneeled but her. She like walked out of the room, you know?
Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, to me, don't have any chemistry.
No.
I felt like it was forced.
I thought Austin Butler did great. I thought Zendaya did great. And I think the reason why her and Timothée Chalamet don't have a lot of chemistry is because Timothée Chalamet, I think it's on purpose now. He just does not emote that much. He's just very like still-faced and stone-faced, you know. Zendaya feels warm and then he stays cold.
It doesn't work with them because it's just not there. I want to talk about a character in here that played by an actor that I truly do love, Dave Bautista, and he plays Ruben.
Yeah, Robin. Yeah.
I felt like his character was kind of wasted on here. I felt like his character was, not to say that he did a bad job or anything at all, because he felt like I look weak in front of my Baron. Right. Okay. I just felt like it was just a waste of time for him.
I think Rabin, his point was he was an example of someone who just did not grow up, right? He was in the exact same position as Paul was in the first movie, except he never evolved past it. He just stayed a very angry, violent child, right? He had no like intelligence behind his rage, because that's kind of what I think Paul was afraid of. He was afraid of just going south and just being some sort of a violent madman with, you know, while leading an army. But then once he drank the water of life, he realized that there is a utility to using people's religious fervor against them. You know, in the movie, they, I think correctly, use that to show that maybe Paul isn't as good of a guy as we thought. You know what I mean? Maybe our hero is really the villain the whole time. This guy literally created a coup to take over the empire. And now that the other houses, I guess it's a spoiler for a book that's 60 years old.
It's a spoiler, yeah.
But now the other houses reject that. He's like, well, okay, well, let's go ahead and go to war.
Take out the houses.
Yeah, take out all the houses. Like, that's literally the sign of a villain. And it changes things because the next book and apparently the next movie is Dune Messiah. And it makes the title mean something different. Like, is he like a real Messiah or is he a false Messiah?
So if you're going into this film and you're just gonna be like, oh, I'm just gonna see the good old like action film and sci-fi and things blowing up. No, there's so much lore behind all of this. You have to pay attention.
Now, a few years ago, Denis Villeneuve got in trouble for essentially saying just that. He said that he thinks superhero movies have turned audiences into zombies. I feel like I understand what he was saying very clearly here. He's like, I want you to think about this whole Jesus idea. I can't stress anymore that this idea of our main character, who's usually, you know, again, a white guy, being seen as the savior, this is the template for 99.999% of your superhero films. And he actually, well, this movie actually comments upon that. I mentioned in our first review that the first Dune was held up by its score. This time I felt like not only the visuals, but the story were able to meet that huge epic score.
Facts. And thinking about that same concept that you're saying, like, is this guy bad? Is Chani correct in all of this?
It's commenting on this idea that this one lone guy is the savior. And where in the Batman, Bruce realizes that no, that idea is stupid and dangerous, and I'm going to change my ways. That was the big change at the end of the Batman.
At the end of, where he wanted to be one with the people. Yes.
Yeah. In this one, in Dune, he's like, you know what? I could use that. I could use the fear. I could use this manipulation to take over. And I think that's really, really fascinating.
Greg Fraser, which is Denis Villeneuve's cinematographer that he used on both of these films. How did he get this movie to look like this? I don't get it. He made CGI look real.
I like that this movie, while there's a lot of CGI here, there's also a lot of like real physical things. Like there is actual, this sounds silly to even say, but there is like actual like sand in the movie.
There's no tennis ball.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a few tennis balls, but generally there's the sets and things that are like immediately in front of your actors are there. But the fact that they actually made a lot more physical props than you see in movies today,
like
it grounded the movie.
Like all the cylinder things that they actually call the worms with. That's an actual mechanism that they had to make in a prop department.
I love stuff like that. And you could tell when the actor is actually holding something real, their performance is, I think, better.
But hey, man, I love this movie a lot, and I think people should see this film in its entirety, even though the first one was kind of slow and stuff. But this one gives a whole new meaning to visuals, deeper story, great acting around the board, with the exception kinda Timothy Chalamet, but his character,
he wasn't a drag. He was just bland.
But his character ascended. That's what it is. His character ascended.
Even Timothy stepped it up. So like I think this was really good.
I like this film. Devin, I know you like this film too. But what's more important, did you like this film? Get in the comments and let us know what you thought of Dune Part 2.
You are not prepared for what is to come.
If you're new to seeing our face, please hit that subscribe button right at the bottom. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers very, very soon, all right? And if you did like this video, please hit that thumbs up. Or you can hit that thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion. Just remember one thing, it's mostly wrong. Now it's time for me to get a little bit more personal with my bucket.
Guess that means this video's ending.